Hello there, guys, gals, and non-binary pals, all of whom are loved and welcomed in this space. Welcome to a brand new episode of the Bad Betches, the only Bad Batch-focused discussion show hosted by the Imperial Senate Podcast. I'm your host, Charlie Ashby, and joining me, as always, is my beloved co-host, Nicky. How you doing?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm doing very well. I think we're both doing very well after a recent week of football.
You know, life could be much worse. So yeah, no, it's been a good ride so far.
I'm gonna milk this train all the way till Wednesday, and then the panic will set in.
Absolutely.
But yeah, apart from that, all good. Nothing stressful happened.
I'm trying to think now. I think can't complain. We had the Fourth of July yesterday, so stateside people may have had a little bit of a holiday yesterday, and then I think also maybe people have today off as well, because when a federal holiday lands on a weekend, you get the Monday off or something like that. So yeah, hopefully people had a good weekend and watched plenty of Bad Batch.
Absolutely, a perfect time to go back and watch all of the episodes. Don't get involved in fireworks because they're useless. Sit back, watch some fake explosions on Disney Plus.
I do love fireworks, I won't lie.
Oh, you're a firework guy.
I love fireworks. They're amazing.
There you go then. I guess it depends. I haven't seen Disney fireworks in real life, so maybe that will win me over.
It's a problem for me when they're in residential areas.
Yeah.
But like certain spaces, I think they're good.
Absolutely, yeah. Matthew. Absolutely. Just got to throw that in there because
he knows what's up.
Yeah. As you can probably tell, Claire isn't with us this week. She's taking a little break, but she'll be back next time with us to talk some more Bad Batch goodness, Bad Betchiness. Trying to think of a word with being at.
Betchitude.
Betchitude. That's a shirt. That's a shirt. That is Betchitude.
Betchitude. Yeah, for sure. I can dig it.
Right. Well, let's just jump right into this week's episode, which was episode 10 of season 1 of the Bad Batch. And we're going to start off as usual. If you haven't watched the show before, we go through the episode. We try to stick to chronological points as much as possible, but there's no worries if we jump around. But we sort of try and complete a point in an overall arc of what we're talking about, the discussion. So the first discussion point is the Imperial occupation of Araxis.
Damn.
I have to say, and I say this every week, and it's become an ongoing gag. But my God, the animation in this show.
That's the thing. It can't be said enough. It can't be said enough. That's the thing.
It was really funny actually seeing a few of the people that work on the show. Like one of my tweets this week, which again I didn't tag anyone. I think I just put the hashtag the Bad Batch, and it was just purely, oh my God, I'm gonna have to spend an hour's worth on the Bad Betches just talking about foliage, because a show is good when you're focusing on the minute details. Like those leaves look fantastic.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Again, just this is stunning work on the technical aspects of it, because it's just it's almost like how is it getting better? Right? Like how are they even within the season making things look better? And yeah, it's so much fun to watch, because yeah, you do get stuck in on leaves, the crowds. It's super cool. And like it always reminds me too of they talk about like with Pixar. I think in Toy Story 1, you only really see Andy because all the other kids are the Andy model.
Yeah. And
you don't see the parents. You see their feet or something, because they didn't make a mom. and then fast forward to Seoul, where you're in Manhattan, and there's just the wide variety of faces, and it's stunning, and it's very much like that, where it's just like you think about how it started and now where it is. It's just, again, it can't be celebrated enough how cool it looks.
Yeah, and just Raxus overall looks like a fantastically beautiful planet.
Mm-hmm.
I think someone put a point on Twitter, like, if you had to choose between the two capital cities of the Separatists and the Republic,
Mm-hmm.
I feel like maybe Raxus might have this one beat. I feel like Coruscant,
Maybe.
it depends what sort of person you are. You're a city person, because Raxus is a city, but it looks more cleaner, looks less stressful.
Yeah, Coruscant might be a little scummy,
Mm.
But yeah, it's it's a cool planet, and I think the first time we saw it was the Heroes on Both Sides episode of the Clone Wars,
Yeah.
which is very relevant to today's episode.
Very much so.
A Common Ground episode. So I always thought that was one of the best Clone Wars episodes, and so sort of seeing like a spiritual successor to that, I think, is very cool, because you never know where your allies are, essentially.
And I feel like, you couldn't possibly do a show about the early stages of the Empire without delving into the Separatists and delving into more of what it was like any real life situation, any real life force or negative occupation or somewhere. Not everyone was bad, or not everyone was doing things for certain reasons. It's more complicated than that, and I feel like it's very interesting seeing some of these planets. I hope we do see more of it explored throughout this. Like this, we see a lot. In fact, actually, I'm surprised at how much Disney is exploring this element in the recent stuff. I remember when Rogue One came out, and I think it was in the novelization or something like that, where they talk about how Cassian was a separatist. And I was like, oh, it'd be really cool to see that explored one day, but I very much doubt it. But now we've got the Cassian show coming out with that artwork. We saw the battle droids in The Mandalorian. And now this is just like,
Yeah, I think it was in the Rogue One, the things Pablo writes, the visual
guide.
Yeah, I think it pretty like plain and simple is like Cassian was throwing rocks at clone troopers, stuff like that. So it's super cool, and I think what sort of I remember, or because of course what you watch the episode, and then of course it's time to see what everybody's saying about it.
Oh boy.
And I think I saw a lot of like nothing really happened in this episode. And I was like, well, what are, like, I can't believe I have to explain this. But it's like, this story is literally the building blocks of the rebellion. And, you have these people in the galaxy where it's like, rogue Republic people, separatists who are like, I didn't sign up for this. I definitely didn't sign up for this. And you have these like high value target people, and they escape the Empire to fight another day, as Echo says. And so I thought it was really cool to again give the Bad Batch this little slice of the galaxy where they're an extraction team for somebody who could go on to maybe fund freedom fighters, to maybe plan a cell. Like, we don't know exactly what this guy's gonna do. Maybe nothing. Who knows? But like, it's stories like this that like built the Rebel Alliance. So this whole like, it's pretty low stakes episode. They didn't really do much. I'm like, what are you talking about? This is we're literally building the fight against the Empire right now, even if the Bad Batch doesn't know it.
Yeah, it's no different to seeing Saw Gerrera in episode 1. He's a key member. We know his role. The reason why that didn't get the same backlash or like comment was because we'd seen his actual role in versus the Empire. We're not aware of the story of the character Senator is it Avi Singh, right?
It was something like that, yeah. I'd have to look it up to be sure.
Played by Alexander Siddig, who is phenomenal.
Such an awesome cameo actor to have. Nerds will know him from various things.
From series 4 and 5 of the ITV show Primeval, I'm sure.
There we go.
There you go. I'm jesting. He's in that, but it's obviously Star Trek.
And Game of Thrones.
And Game of Thrones. You're right,
Yeah.
of course. He's in loads of stuff. He's in absolutely everything.
Great actor.
But like you mentioned, I feel like he's one of those characters and actors combinations that I feel like you can bring him back. You should bring him back in the future.
Mhm.
Not
Yeah.
to say that they will. Obviously, we've got the same with Senator Travis in Rebels. We didn't really get to see him again. Although then again, we might see him in this show.
Dude, yeah. I mean, I don't think we know like how he started, right? Like, was he
Nope.
always shitty? Did he become shitty? Like, we don't actually know.
I think they infer that he started with good intentions and then he got caught and was like so cowardly that he
just went along with it.
Yeah.
I think but that'd be really cool. Any sort of link like that, and we know they're not afraid to link things.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you sent me that thing somebody deciphered about the two Cantina characters.
Yeah, so
which blew my mind.
Yeah, so Jacqueline on Twitter, really amazing. You should follow them. Put a really, really great, really great point, which was the two dudes that hang out in the cantina, the Ithorian and the WK dude, are most likely they're the same costume designs and everything.
Mhm.
The same people that Trace, I think, rescued in the Clone Wars arc.
Yeah,
which is ridiculous.
From Obadiah, the two just hanging in a cell, and now they're drinking at Sid's bar. It's amazing. So yeah, they're not afraid to take the links, and I think I'd be pretty, or I wouldn't. I'm not gonna bet on it, but I would not be like at all shocked if Avi Singh like pops up again.
Yeah, like of course we shouldn't be like you have to balance it out because obviously people like Alexander Siddig are very good at voice acting and they've done loads of stuff like this before. I think getting Sean Clifford to play the droid, this droid GS8, which I believe is a nod to the writer, which is her acting.
Oh, okay, yeah.
I feel like getting people like that, there's a reason for it, and that's returning characters. And I feel like I wouldn't be surprised that they're all combined in this little thing that Rex is doing, maybe potentially. But yeah, I love these elements. I love these stories that are building up the rebellion. I don't understand at all. I mean, even just in the terms of if you didn't view this as a wider picture story, it was a fun extraction mission, which had explosions, had fun commentary, beautiful design to the set. It had really, really cool clone action.
Oh yeah.
And also, I really liked the B story. I thought the B story was really solid.
One of the best. Like just from a character, like, and like that was pretty low stakes, but just phenomenal. At just making these two people who, I mean, it's what you love. Like when two people are like kind of at odds, and then something brings them together, and they're like fucking best friends. And Jennifer Corbin, man, when the episode like came out, and she tweeted the gif of Zach Galifianakis and Bradley Cooper coming down in The Hangover, that was just the funniest shit. And yeah, if they ran some little operation to scam people out of Dejarik, that'd be amazing. But yeah, great B plot.
Absolutely. So yeah, I before we move on to the next point, I feel like we should bring up Captain Bragg, played by the magnificent Shelby Young. Really great Imperial character.
Yeah.
I love seeing more of these. Obviously, these people that have been in charge of the Republic Army for some time are just straight up dicks, and coming in the foe. We see it a lot we saw it a lot in the Clone Wars with the Separatist leadership with Count Dooku, and when they've clearly got the monarchs or the political points of those planets subjugated, and they're making them just say whatever they want because it's all a big coup. And I love those little elements. I love the bullshit script that she's just like spouting off.
Yeah, there's a really
Welcome to the
cool,
Empire.
exactly. There's a really cool political aspect to it, and I think that's why this opening felt really unique for the show, because I think it's like the first time they've opened on someone who's not like a batch member, whether that's Crosshair, whether that's the team. I think this is like the first time where it's like this was very like it reminded me of like Mandalorian when it started with the village under attack and sort of
Yeah.
set the scene first,
Yes.
and then we got to come in with the characters we know. But yeah, I thought it was really cool, really good political aspect to it. And another thing with Bragg, like she seemed young.
Yes.
So it's almost like this thing of like, have they even replaced the like a lot of the old guard like officers with these sort of people ready to sort of jump in for power. I thought that was the really cool aspect, and then just the the subtext of what Avi Singh's position is, where I think it's GSH. He's like, or maybe it was Bragg, I can't remember, where she's like, oh yeah, we'll just like you'll get locked up with your predecessors if you don't like say the line, and that alone just makes you think about how many people have been in this position, stood up to it, and how that informs what he's about to do. And I thought it was a really like nice moment for this character we just met to be like I can't do this. Like he went up there, he was gonna do it, he's gonna say yay Empire, and he didn't, because he has a conscience. And it was I guess just another nice moment of resistance, which is, I guess, sort of a way to describe Star Wars. A lot of nice moments of resistance sort of linked together. So yeah, it was a great opening to the episode.
And it just really, I love how they reiterate the threat of the Empire in these different pockets of the galaxy. On Coruscant, obviously, it's overnight Imperials are there. In fact, we saw the imperialization of Coruscant during the Clone Wars when it comes to like the big military base that in canon we know is built by Krennic and all this stuff. But what I like about the Separatist stuff and all these other elements on different planets and places that fought against the Separatists, but not necessarily all were the Separatists, weren't necessarily gunning for like Republic control.
Yeah,
is how they like approach it. Captain Bragg isn't at any point, this isn't a we're not in control situation. This is we're absolutely in control, and you can pretend whatever way you want how we're going to do this. At first they're like, look, we're the Empire, we're going to give you great stuff, new jobs, opportunities, blah 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 blah. You can go along with it. They're not going along with it, obviously. They're separatists, they're not happy about that. They want to have their own freedoms. As soon as Singh speaks out, it's just bringing the Force. And it's such a really great way of visually showing the power the Empire have. It is just purely bringing the tanks in. Only about, like 3 of them? Having those troopers on board. And you see how threatening these people are.
I don't know what just happened. I think my internet cut out for a second. So I think I missed a chunk of what you were saying. But I caught the tanks.
Yes.
Just back that up a little bit. What was the full point?
Yeah, so the point was, like, there's at no point did the Empire not have control. They're just telling the people which way they want to perceive it. So you can just accept the fact that we're in control now. We've got all this nice stuff for you. We've got nice jobs, blah, 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 blah. They're not going to accept it because they want freedom anyway.
Yeah.
So they're like, look, this isn't a discussion. This isn't a debate. We're going to show you the power we have visually through the tanks, with the troopers. And it is literally awesome to see the power that they wield. And scary, like, very scary.
Yeah, like they're here. Like there's no debate to be had. Which I think, again, is part of what's so great about the moment of bravery from Senator Singh.
Yes.
Because he knows what's gonna happen. So yeah, no, it was a great, very like sobering beginning to the episode, because it's what we were excited about with this show, where it's like this transition from, you know, freedom to tyranny. And I think, yeah, it's always super cool. I love separatist stories. I think there's a lot of good potential for them. And because I think it's something not as explored in the movies, but it is dropped in there just enough where it's like, these aren't just mustache twirling villains. Like the motivations for these, what, I don't know how many thousands of systems, like they are not all sinister. Like there is a system where like there's a, like the Republic is flawed, and there's a reality where things are not working for people, and that's why they've sort of been in this movement. It's a movement that's been co-opted by evil and stuff like that. And I think it's super cool to see the sides of the separatists that are not your maniacal, you know, droid killing, or not killer droids, not droid killing. But yeah, like it's not General Grievous, right? It's not Dooku or Ventress or anyone. Like these are just people who were like trying to figure out a better way to represent themselves.
Like the Lux Bonteria of it all.
Exactly. So I think that's super cool to explore more. I remember in Rebels, I always wanted to see. Do you remember the general from the Clone Wars movie, who, like, the Scottish guy at the beginning?
Oh yeah.
It was like General Loathsome or something. Like, I always saw him as not like an evil person. Like he was just fighting on that side. I never got the impression he was like, you know, not like the guy who was incinerating the villages with his incinerator cannon. So I always would have loved like a story in Rebels of them, like, you know, doing something like this where they bring on this. We even thought, like, I was hoping even with Kalani we might have gotten it, but this idea of like a separatist general helping the rebellion. So
but that's what I'm hoping, is that, because the thing about Kalani, which I really enjoy, is that he, to be fair to him, as a droid, he was purely focusing on the odds at hand. Yeah. I would be very interested if in the comics or like another project we get to see if he got involved with the rebellion post A New Hope, because I feel like blowing up the Death Star probably moved their odds.
Yeah.
To, you know, like significantly more in the favor of the rebellion. So it would be really interesting to be like, okay, fuck it, I'll join you guys.
Yeah. Yep. It's never a bad thing to have a super tactical droid. So yeah, it's super cool to get more sort of like a more diverse view of what the separatists were.
Absolutely. Speaking of that sort of point, we've got Protective Hunter and an enemy of my enemy. There's not really much to dive into with Protective Hunter until we get to the end of the episode, but I thought it was interesting that obviously what's happened to Omega recently has forced him to become a bit more protective of Omega, and, you know, that can cause divisions, especially within the team. I was surprised about how sort of willing everyone else was, and the way that they sort of do treat her. They do treat her like a child, obviously, sometimes, but the Bad Batch pretty much were like, no, she's one of the team. Like, she's coming with us, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
And it's only Hunter that's kind of like, well, no.
Yeah. Yeah, he's the one most defaulting to dad mode, right?
Yeah.
Like, like I think we kind of joked before about how like Echo's not great with kids, or not Echo, Tech's not great with kids. Wrecker is a kid. and then Echo is, you know, he's distracted. He misses Rex.
He's just drawing in his doodle book.
Yeah. So yeah, no, it was really interesting how, you know, Hunter was gonna call the shots on that.
And obviously, yeah, we see him basic, and I like the way he uses the structure of the whole military of it all to try and keep it grounded. It's like, no, this is an order. You have to stay here. If you don't agree with me, you're breaking order. She goes along with it. I really did love that little subplot, and we'll get onto that bit in a minute. But I want to focus on the whole enemy of my enemy is my friend. Like we talked about the separatists being allies now, and it was interesting to see this, the turning the tables, especially for these characters, but in particular, Echo.
Yeah.
But this is a point that really intrigued me because I saw a lot of people commenting that this episode didn't really focus on Echo or didn't feel right in terms of his characterization. But I feel like it felt perfect for the character. I think, like you mentioned before, the difference is that the Separatists weren't all evil people. They were a collective group of planets that were dissatisfied with the Galactic Republic, who was, it wasn't the best institution. It was corrupt, and they just happened to have to sign up with. It's like you're defending your home planet, right? That's the key point. You just happen to be on the same side as BP and Coca-Cola. Like, these big corporations that for some reason want to get involved as well. They're like, fuck this. I'm sure that a lot of these planets didn't really care about the Trade Federation.
No, I mean, there's too many, right? And like that's the story. That's why they are bad. That's why the Trade Federation is bad, because they took a situation and co-opted it and manipulated it, and that's where the evil is rooted.
And that's why they're the leadership.
Exactly.
Because they have the money, the means, and the yeah. And I feel like the Echo's major issue is with them, as opposed to or even I know some people are saying, oh yeah, but what about the explosion? Shouldn't you have PTSD and stuff? I'm like, probably that's the point. He's reticent about this mission because he doesn't trust the Separatists. But one, the whole point of the episode is that he opens his eyes and sees what's happening. And
like, oh, go ahead.
Oh yeah, sorry. And two, and the fact was the people that experimented with him were the Techno Union, as opposed to the Separatists at large. I think even some of the Separatists didn't even know the full extent of what they were doing to him. So, to me, that criticism didn't really ring true to me. I think Echo the way they did Echo this episode was really good. I felt like he sees the points of view. He's reticent still to get involved, and it's not until he understands the situation, and he also recognizes the fact that his own previous state of mind would have considered himself a terrorist or a deserter or traitor.
And and then you have the practicality of a 22-minute episode, and it's like, you can't spend so long deciphering his whole transition from skepticism to accepting, but it's there, and that's for you to fill in the blanks with, because I thought it was perfect characterization for Echo, because he's not like the Batch, not yet, and he's rightfully skeptical to be helping separatists, because that's what has his whole life been. And I think the Bad Batch is more the regular Batchers were more on board with just doing it because they're a Black Ops team. They've probably done some weird shit before. And so weird gray lines or shades of gray assignments, that's their entire mission statement. So I think the fact that Echo was not sure how to feel about it at the beginning was totally appropriate for him. And then the arc is realizing that they have the same enemy now, and we're not that different. You're not this evil person who fights for the same ideals of the people who abused him and used his body for all that. And also, Echo's not part of the batch, but he was an ARC trooper, and ARC troopers are known to be adaptive and fast critical thinking on the field. So like, yeah, I mean, that's it. All works out. I also wouldn't understand that criticism of Echo.
And I think for me, the core emotional crux of the episode is the ending with Singh, and it really hits every time I watch it because it's a really great moment, and you can see it through Echo's eyes as well. All they risked to get him out, and he would have willingly gone back to try and save his people. He straight up says, he goes, "What am I doing? I can't do this. I have to go back and save them." And it's that moment Echo realizes, that is what he cares about the most, is the safety of his citizens, and that is why he probably got involved with the Clone Wars. That's why all of this. And he straight up, you're doing the right thing.
That's what Echo would do.
Good. It's what he would do, absolutely, and it's what Rex would do.
Yeah. So yeah, I think that's what's so important. Again, like going back to heroes on both sides, like it's so important when you have these, situations of opposite sides. Like you have to understand motivations to fully know what you're dealing with. And I think when Echo sees a more honest motivation from a separatist, he realizes these two guys, me and this guy, not that different at this point in time.
Absolutely. Well, why don't we dive into the B plot of this episode, which was Omega, Supreme Strategist.
Man, she was just, again, super funny in this episode. And I always bring this up too, but it's like they just know how to animate this kid. Like
they really do.
The little mannerisms, whether it's just eating the Mantel mix or I loved the scrubbing the bar.
Yes.
I thought that was just an amazing, like they just know how to animate this child so well, to where yes, she's got this super strategy mind that we know about now. We know she's very I guess like empathetic, inquisitive, and mature in some ways, but seeing her act like a kid, I think, is also very important.
Yeah, and I feel like that's always there in the not only just the animation, but Michelle Ng's voice acting. I thought the intonations are always sort of spot on. Why do you care? It's just so really good.
What was I can't remember exactly the words that Sid uses, but when Omega's like, "I'm not helpless," or something like that, like it was just so funny because it's like, and it's like you can understand why she feels that way. Like she's been through a lot and she's got out of it, and she got away from Cad Bane and Fennec Shand, right? Like this kid's got moves, so it's probably like really like annoying, and you are gonna be a little pouty kid when somebody who doesn't know what you've been through, tells you what you are or what you aren't. And so I thought that was there were just like a lot of really sweet moments between Sid and Omega, and then of course.
Oh yeah, sorry. I think what's important is that the casting of Rhea Perlman as Sid. I loved her beforehand anyway. But I feel like, particularly in this episode, you realize how important casting someone like that is, because she really has that gravitas and that weight to the character. The voice has so much weight behind it that you can feel the intelligence, you can feel the history that Sid has behind it. So when they're bickering, it's really more intriguing and more interesting.
Yeah.
And there's a really great comedic moment where I think Sid says something to Omega and upsets her. And then the two dudes at the bar are like, it's too far. And she's like, what?
Yeah. No, it's genius casting, because it's like, it's things you saw. If you know Rhea Perlman from Cheers, like that's very Carla to say the thing that she shouldn't have said, and then she kind of might feel guilty about it. and then there is a sweet moment where what her like heart is, but she also won't go that far either, like out loud.
Yeah.
And that's very Sid. It's why it's a slam dunk casting.
Very good. And obviously we find out that Omega is very good at strategizing. She's very good at working out games. Like you said, it's very much the Zach Galifianakis in The Hangover.
She read a book on card counting on the way to Ord Mantell.
And she manages to win back the entire bounty for Bad Batch, or the debt.
The debt,
at least that's owed to
which,
Sid.
Let's not forget, is mostly Omega's fault.
Yeah,
because her and Wrecker have just been munching on that mix off Sid's tab. So yeah, it was good that Omega, in particular, sort of squared that debt as well. Very funny.
And do you think that this means we'll be moving on from Ord Mantell, or do you think we're going to be just the Bad Batch have sort of made a home there now?
I think that's the case, but surely something's gonna push them out. I don't. Yeah, like I would hope that they don't ruin a relationship with Sid, and like it's not a scenario where like they're forced out because of that. But I think there's gonna be something that they're sort of forced to answer to, or maybe they leave to protect Sid because they know all these people are coming after them. So yeah, I don't know. It'd be a shame if they left for good because it's just such a great environment. You always get good comedy, good world building out of Sid's little watering hole in Ord Mantell. But
yeah,
but yeah, it was just really great. I love the Omega as the brilliant game child. I know like a lot of people are talking about Queen's Gambit.
Yes.
And yeah, it was just funny. It's funny seeing, I like just picturing Omega lying awake at night in Camino and looking at the ceiling and the little Dejaric pieces are moving around. She's just seeing all these like different ways. I thought that was great. And I think, or I hope it means she might even take a more active role in planning missions, because I think like it was a really sweet moment at the end where Hunter's like, okay, how about you show me what you've got here, and then they play together. I thought that was really nice, but I also wonder if it was like an audition almost. Like Hunter's like, well, let's see what you can do in these situations, because we've seen Omega improvise a lot, but she's still never been like part of the planning of an operation, right? Like I don't think even like the Moochie one, they're like, Omega, you do this, you stay here. So I think it's exciting to see how they might give her even more to do, and when I guess the idea is she'll never be left behind again.
And before we wrap up this point, I want to say as well, I do like the fact that this, obviously the time has been passing through these episodes, and God, it's probably been like months with Omega on board and stuff. But one of the things I really loved was that when they go off on the mission, and Hunter's like, Omega, I need you to do this, or like he says, Tech, you go with Omega, and Tech's like, I can't do that actually. She's not here, idiot.
Yeah.
And it just proves,
she's part of the family, and it also reminded me of when Anakin didn't want Ahsoka to go on the Citadel mission.
And
then of course we know what she does, but it's one of those things where it's like you eventually do need to like instill that trust. You can try to protect someone forever, keep them away from the bad stuff, but eventually like it comes to the point where like you have to believe the way you've prepared them is good enough for them to stand on their own. And I think that's something Hunter had to learn a little bit throughout this episode. And I think Omega is obviously very different from Ahsoka in regards of capability and certain things. But yeah, I think it is a very similar lesson in that regard.
And speaking of trust, our final point for this week's episode is trust. I thought, yeah, like if this episode had its own Clone Wars opening, sort of, card of sorts, it would be all about trust. And the episode was really good at this, delving into trust between Hunter and Omega, between Echo and the Separatists, between the Separatists and just, these clones. But there's no point, at least, I don't know if you can tell they're clones or not, but there's definitely no point that either GSA or the Senator goes, oh, look, these are clones, should we trust them? It's just, we're in danger, I trust you 100%. So I really did enjoy that. Do you think anything else to add on to the idea of trust in this week's episode?
Yeah, I mean, it sort of permeates every level, like every storyline, because it's trust about Echo and Singh, as we've talked about. It's trust in your team. It's trust in even Sid. Sid learns to trust Omega in making her money, right? Like it's there's just a lot of, I mean, because it starts with Omega watching Sid, right?
Yeah.
And being like, you should do that. And she's like, okay, kiddo, like you go back to your mac and cheese. And it sort of becomes this thing of like, once you know what someone's capable of, you can, open up to them and trust them a little more. And then Hunter and Omega. And I think it was a really big theme for what happened in this episode. So yeah, I'm curious to see how they all, I guess just sort of the whole, like, where do we go from here? Like how do all these points of newfound trust manifest? And I think like, does it mean the batch could be more receptive to more extraction missions of separatists? Like that's something that's really exciting to me when I think about this story in particular, and this sort of idea of people needing help and people like the batch being there for them, and these people being like anti-imperial, right?
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah.
Yeah, and great point. Moment of trust in your beliefs for the Separatist Senator. Yeah, like not willing to throw away what you feel like you should do. Don't throw away your planet with the bathwater, basically.
Yeah. Power of your own convictions. And yeah, like I think it's cool to think about how many, even if it's not the batch, how many of these instances are happening where maybe like, freelance military people or paramilitary people are pulling these sort of high value targets away from the Empire's grasp. I think that's just a really cool story, and how many of those are happening across the galaxy. So
you see it in history all the time. All these leaders that escape, wait for the right opportunity of rebellion or revolution, and they strike. They come back.
Yeah, I mean, hell, you can criticize this guy till the cows come home, but Charles de Gaulle, like one of the great examples of a guy who got like pulled out and then managed the French, or I guess again this is part of the critique, but I'll say managed the French resistance from afar. But yeah, I think it's very rooted in those kind of stories. And actually, now that I brought that up, I think it's just sort of another point of the technical side. I love how Joel Aaron talked a lot about the film Kelly's Heroes being a influence on the cinematography for this episode. I thought that was just really fun. I love when Star Wars pays homage to films, which it does a lot. So yeah, I thought that was a really cool thing, and just a very fun, specific example of something to emulate and stuff like that.
And before we wrap up as well, I feel like there was a lot of weight and realism to the tanks in this episode. I think in early seasons of the Clone Wars, it was just to like blow up the tanks and be like a video game. But in this one, they felt really realistic. Like the one hit knocks it out, and you can get it back up a little bit, go a little bit further. take over another one. Like it felt a bit more realistic, a bit like with Rebels when you hear the straining sounds, the sound effects of the ATT.
Mhm.
I really love those moments. I feel like adds just a bit more realism to the whole episode.
Yeah.
Well, let's give our overall thoughts and scores, and of course, we can't possibly even entertain that concept without having our good friend Amiga and Lula to join us.
She's asking, she's begging for answers of how many Lulas to give this episode.
Well, Nicky, I don't want Omega to worry any further. How many Lulas would you give this episode, and why? What's your rating?
Yeah, I guess you guys know. You guys know what I'm here for.
Yeah.
I'm here for a good time. And when an episode delivers a good time, I got nothing. Like that's a 10 out of 10. 10 out of 10 Lulas coming in for Common Ground, because it's like I walk out of something having enjoyed it, having thought about it, deepening meanings. I think if it accomplishes all that in 20 something minutes of a little Star Wars cartoon we get to watch once a week, what's there to complain about? So it's fucking 10 out of 10. I think just sort of very similar to the Rafa and Trace episode, just a really well blocked out action sequence. From top to bottom, and it was perfect Star Wars action. There was humor to it. There were droids like getting in the way. GS8 was a blast. She had a lot of fun color to the just punctuating the action sequences. We got to see a Dr. Ball interrogation droid, which I don't know if the Republic had those, but considering that she can just pull it out, it makes you wonder if they had them the whole time, which is kind of creepy. And then it was just really cool. Again, just a great action sequence. It had everything you love. A love letter to the ATTEs. Like you said, we got to see them, in a little bit more, sort of a little bit more of what they're capable of, how many hits they can take, what they can't take. And yeah, just I loved every minute of the action, even just simple things like when it gets hit for the first time, like we got to stop and fix it, and then Hunter's like, "Reckon I got this," and then they just go out and like own everybody. I also thought it was interesting that they were stunning.
Yes, that was interesting actually.
Yeah,
they
didn't do that in the past.
No.
So low casualty mission too, which is kind of fun for the batch, not their usual thing. So yeah, I think that was a cool. That was a lot, like just a great piece. That the Omega stuff was hilarious. Just a great way to color those characters. And I loved even the Pantoran guy, who you could tell was like they'd narrowed it down. This guy was like probably the best on Ord Mantell, and Omega just takes him out, no problem. So yeah, I love all that. I love all the themes we talked about, the trust, what that trust might manifest in the future. Avi Singh, GS8, great couple of characters. Raxus was beautiful. 10 out of 10, baby.
Yeah, I feel like I'm inclined to agree with you again. I was thinking about giving it a 9.5, and I was just like, there's nothing that really is telling me I should degrade that 0.5 mark, because the episode was gorgeous. Again, I could spend an hour talking about the leaves and the foliage. I thought the moral argument was really interesting. I thought the way that they've delved into that separatist arc was really great. I really loved the characters. The comedic points were spot on, and they weren't just thrown out there for no reason. Like the vase bit was great. The idea of don't smash the vase, and then it being a key part of importance later on.
Yeah,
great
good payoff. Really good payoff on
that. So yeah, I'm inclined to agree with you. 10 out of 10. I don't think anything knocks that down for me at all. I really enjoyed the episode. I feel like this is another great banger of an episode. And again, what I love about this show is that it leaves us not really knowing what's going to come next.
Mm-hmm. But still satisfied, right?
No,
like
exactly. Yeah.
It's like it's not like shortchanging. I like it's just a really well put together first 10 episodes, and by that, the way that's tracked, can only assume the rest of the season, because yeah, it's one of those. It's just been really. I found it really enjoyable watching this, because like every episode is really well packaged, and then even the ones that are like the to be continued, like those felt very even just themselves. Like I got a good meal, this Friday. So yeah, it's been a blast. I'm really pumped to see what happens and how all these pieces come together, and it's gonna be wild. I can't believe we're like 6 episodes left.
I know, it's
like
crazy. It's gone so fast.
Yeah.
Good times. Well, I'm afraid that's all we have time for this week. Where can people find you online, Nicky?
Yep, as you can see on the little tile thing, that is my Twitter handle at Niquicious. You can watch me say whatever obnoxious thing I have coming out of my head at any given moment there. You can also follow the One and Done Film Club, which is a a movie watch along commentary podcast that you can find on Apple, Spotify, blah, 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 whatever the other ones are. If anyone uses other ones, they're probably there. And yeah, you can follow that at at one, the letter N, Done Show. We just finished our season 1, which the last episode was Star Wars prequels. So if you guys are watching this, you'll probably enjoy the movie we watch, and have a good time watching it with us. And then we got some fun stuff. Probably going to drop the season 2 trailer fairly soon. So that's super fun. And then also, if you join the Imperial Senate Patreon, you can catch the Sacred Jedi Bricks, which is another watch-along series that my friend Reed and I do, who's also on One and Done Film Club. We watch the Lego Star Wars stuff. So we just finished Freemaker Season 1. We're going to be doing Freemaker Season 2. And then all the other little specials. So yeah, plenty of cool stuff if you want to catch some projects I'm on.
Perfect. Well, you can, if you want to find me, Charlie Ashby, you can find my other head to this. Okay, yeah, you can find me on Twitter at CMWASHBY. You can also find me on Instagram at CharlieMWAshby. You can find my Patreon and Ko-fi. The links on my Twitter feed, on my little link tree. I've just updated my Patreon and I've updated my Ko-fi. So if you want to have any commissions for me, you want to do some Photoshop work, or you need some Photoshop work being done, I'm the guy. And yeah, I also have the Charlie Ashby Network, which you can find on Apple Podcasts and every good podcasting place where podcasts are found. That's where Batman Returns is available, Pondervision, and other cool shows. So yeah, that's all we've got time for this week. And don't forget to follow Claire on Twitter at C_strip. No,
C-strips.
So at C-strips.
Yeah.
And on Instagram too. Yeah. So don't forget, we'll be back all as a trio next week, where we'll be talking about episode 11. But until then, may the force be with you. See ya.
Peace, everyone.